Hi, it's Mayor Walter Sendzik, and we're back for another episode of Our Home with Mayor Sendzik, where we shine a light on everything that's going on in our community. And I hope you had a great September, and I know the Grape Wine Festival was an amazing festival yet again, 68 years. And heading into October, we've got a number of other events taking place, and so I want to shine a light on two very special ones. After the break, we're going to be talking about the Niagara Leadership Summit for Women. And this is an important summit that has been held, I think now for the past 4 years here in Niagara at Brock University. We'll be talking to the organizers, Elisabeth Zimmerman and Rachel Crane. But joining me today to kick off the show, we have Nicole Regher from Gillian's place in St. Catharines, and she's joined by Kevin Wilson, who is the CFO for Niagara Casinos. And we're going to be talking about an event that's special to my heart, and it's one that I've been a part of for, I think now 13 years, heading into its 14th year, and that's Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. And Kevin, we're going to get to you because you're going to be walking in women's shoes for Walk a Mile, and you're doing it for a good reason.
That's right.
But Nicole, I want to start with you. Nicole, you've been involved in Gillian's Place for a while now. You have a lot of leadership experience in fundraising. You're also in our community. You're current chair of the GNCC's Women in Niagara Council. You go into classrooms and you talk about what's going on in our community, healthy relationships, the warning signs of partner abuse, things that are maybe uncomfortable to talk about at times. But I think what Gillian's Place has done is not only created a safe place for women experiencing violence, women and children, but also the opportunity to talk about that, take it out of the shadows. Mm-hmm. So talk about your role at Gillian's Place.
Yeah, and this is a new role for me. I've been with Gillian's Place for 10 years as the Community Development Manager, but I've really added that prevention piece to my role because we see the need, right? We're a Band-Aid on the solution right now. We help thousands of women every single year escape intimate partner violence, but we really need to look toward prevention, right? So that we can stop that cycle. Children who are growing up in abusive homes are repeating that pattern, and so we really need to reach these young boys and girls at a really critical age when they're first starting to date, so they can understand what a healthy relationship looks like, what is and is not okay in a relationship.
So when you talk about the number of women and children coming through the facility, I think that's important for our community to understand. So you're talking about thousands of, when we talk about violence against women, it's, it doesn't happen here, it's somewhere else. Just tell us a bit more about what you're seeing, because I think we need to open the eyes of a lot of people in our community.
Yeah.
It's happening in your neighborhoods, it's happening on your street.
Yeah.
Talk about what you're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the fact that the Niagara Regional Police respond to about 10,000 domestic violence calls every single year. And we know that only about 30% of women actually call the police, so the more probable total in Niagara is over 20,000. Last year, we had 308 women and children live with us in shelter. Half of those were children, or more than half. We received over 3,000 calls on our crisis support line, which is about a 50% increase from the previous year. And then about 1,800 more we helped through outreach services. So these were women and children who didn't necessarily need to live in shelter, but still needed support, escaping their violent situations, be it through legal advice and advocacy. We have a family law lawyer on staff, which is one of our most important programs, because navigating our legal system can be very daunting, especially for a woman who's in crisis and has been through all of that trauma. And then we help with anything. We have a transitional support program, so that really helps women with anything into transitioning into living independently, be it accessing Ontario Works, other social support systems. So really for us, it's a holistic system. So a lot of people see the bricks and mortar and think that we're just shelter, but we really help women transition into living independently. And in fact, for 1 year, we amalgamated with West Niagara Second Stage Housing and Counseling, which is now Gillian's Place West Niagara. So in addition to our emergency shelter, we now have 4 transitional units in West Niagara. So this is for women who need a little extra time to find safe and affordable housing, which is as we know, quite an issue in our region. So women can stay there up to a year, and we continue to provide support to them through that year, so that they can then, transition into finding their own.
So when you talk about outreach programming, going into elementary and high school, tell us a bit about that for people watching at home and wondering, what would you be talking about when you go into a classroom? And what's the reaction from the students?
Yeah, it really depends on the age group, right? So most oftentimes it's, kids who are, grade 10, 11, 12. But, we do grade 7 and 8 programming as well. And so, we talk about kind of red flags in relationships. What is something that's, not okay? So, extreme jealousy, always needing to know, where you are, isolating from other friends and family, those sorts of things. It's really important, for kids to understand in a relationship that respect, that mutual respect is very important, and making sure, that your partner supports your extracurricular activities, your time with family, your time with other friends. And it's not just about, I think people can very easily recognize abuse when it's physical, but it's not just about that. And especially in teen relationships now, digital abuse is a whole new ballgame for us, because that's, especially in a teen relationship, you were able to maybe have some solace when you went home. Because if it was a telephone call, parents knew, but they're constantly, texting, and it's just that constant line. So that's, a whole other ballgame for us, and it's a scary thing.
So I'm going to pivot over to Kevin, because we're going to touch on what is arguably one of the biggest fundraisers for Gillian's Place. And what I appreciate about the fundraising is that it's coming from men. And because Gillian's Place is often, it's associated with women. Women experience the violence. The violence is 99.9% of the time created by the man, meaning the man is the one is the one doing the violence. So, Kevin, you're involved with 4 years now.
Yes.
And you're an ambassador this year.
I am the ambassador for Niagara Casino, so we're the presenting sponsor for the fourth year. So I have the good fortune of being the ambassador and representing the organization. So,
why'd you put your hand up? Like, why did you say I'm in?
well, I think it's a way to become involved and support, because as you pointed out, it is a very serious issue in our community. And how do you support it as a man? How can you support this cause? And I think this is a great example of getting involved and showing support from our community.
And your involvement, you have your employees, the employees that work,
Yes.
and I think you've been the top fundraisers for the past number of years.
That's right.
How much? Just let's brag a bit, because I think you raise a lot of money.
Yeah, we do raise a lot of money. We support this organization, and the numbers that we raise off. I'm not sure the exact amount.
Throw a marker out there, because
Over
you're
35 last year.
Over $35,000. Yeah, so that was great.
So let's put that in perspective. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, and it's all driven by our associates who sign up and take part. They become
fundraise.
We fundraise. We do part of a team. We seek donations individually, and all the money goes back to the organization.
So in context, to do a golf tournament, you may get $20,000 in terms of after all the costs are. This is $35,000 coming in right into Gillian's Place.
That's right.
That's amazing.
That is, and so it's part of our associates at the casino are always looking to support the community, and this is just another one of our great causes that we support.
So walk a mile in her shoes. Before I go back to Nicole, that means you're going to be walking a mile in. If you can pick them up, because we'll get them on the camera.
Size 13.
So we'll get them up.
So that's great.
You can.
Yeah. So October 19th.
Yeah, well, those are high heels too, like that.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
You got, and so on October 19th.
October 19th at the Penn Center.
And the concept is that men pick out women's shoes that are made available on site at the Penn Center, and you put those on and you do a walk around the Penn Center. It's about a mile.
That's right.
And it's an opportunity to put your hand up and say, I'm
It
a
is,
part of this.
and I think it's a fun event too. So to take part of it, I mean, I think it's really well organized. There's live music, there's prizes. It's a great spirit, great atmosphere there as well. We encourage families to take part. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see people like me walking around in these heels as well. And everybody's a great sport, and it's a really tremendous community event.
Well, what I've seen over the years, Nicole, is the number of younger kids, younger boys and teenagers getting involved. And I think that's part of that family experience.
Absolutely.
And it's getting the father and the son to participate to help with that understanding. And so how important is this event to Gillian's Place?
Well, like you said, it is our largest fundraiser of the year, and every year we need to raise $500,000 just to sustain our current operations. We're looking to raise $135,000 with Walk a Mile in Her Shoes this year. It's a tall order, but I know, with the support of our community and with teams like Niagara Casinos, and we really have the good fortune of having not only the business community has really taken ownership of this event, and we have a lot of teams coming in, which is a great way to actually get started. A lot of men are a little bit nervous about coming in and doing it on their own. So, grabbing your coworkers or your buddies and coming out and doing it together, it's a real team building experience. And we love, love, love to see the little people and the men out with, their young children. It really is a great, family event.
It is. And I'm going to go back, Kevin, just talk about, there's also an education opportunity here for people participating.
Yes.
And the education, and I've often said when I've had an opportunity to speak at the Walk a Mile, is you and I, Kevin, guys like us, we're in locker rooms, we're having beers at a bar or whatever, and it's also the language that we use.
That's
and
right.
that men have traditionally used about women. And it's shining a light on that, and having you as an ambassador and your team there, you're able to have those discussions about how is the language that we use having a impact on this whole cycle of violence against women. So when you're in your locker room and we're talking after a hockey game, talking about stuff, you'll hear certain phrases, and they are inappropriate, derogatory, and it's up to, if we're really committed to the Walk a Mile, it's about saying, time out, you can't talk like that. Like, why are you saying that? And showing the kids that, even so, my son plays hockey. As a 14-year-old, what are they talking about in that dressing room? It's up to us as parents to have those discussions and say, if you hear this, you can't talk like that. Like this, there's establishing the respect, that understanding, where those lines are. And I think that's where Walk a Mile, when you have an opportunity with your team, and I know, Kevin, you'd be having those discussions as well. That's
right. It's a great forum, to get into those discussions. It's a great opening to have those kind of discussions as well.
Yeah. So this is an opportunity for us. It's October 19th, and just quickly, they can get information where?
walkamileinhershoes.ca.
That's easy. walkamileinhershoes.ca. Anyone can come out. We want to see men come out. We want to see young folks come out, participate. We want to get over 135,000. I think you're going to get over your target. So
that's right.
We're going to get there. Thank you for coming on the show, Kevin, Nicole. Thank you for the great work you're doing in our community. This has been a very informative discussion about what's happening. So we've got a break coming up. Right after the break, we're going to be talking about a women's summit taking place here in Niagara. You don't want to miss it. And welcome back to Our Home with Mayor Sendzik. Before the break, we had a wonderful discussion about Gillian's Place and the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes coming up October 19th. And after the break, I told you, we have a wonderful event taking place here in Niagara. It's the 6th annual. And at the top of the show, I said 4th annual. Now, I added 2 more years because of how special it is. And it's 2 more years, 6th annual Niagara Leadership Summit for Women, and it's organized and hosted by the YWCA in our community. And Elisabeth Zimmerman is the executive director and longtime promoter and social advocate for people in our community. Elisabeth, you've been doing wonderful work, and the YW has really become, under your leadership, that organization that helps women, helps children, but also helps shine a light on what's going on in our community. So I want to welcome you back to the show.
You. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. It's great to be here.
Every time we have repeat guests, it's great. You know,
Yeah.
it's 5 seasons we've been doing
That's
this.
crazy. Thank you.
Last time you were on the
That's
show was
amazing.
90th anniversary
Yes.
of the Women's Place,
Yeah.
of the YW.
YWCA,
And
yeah.
that was a great opportunity to, again,
Yeah.
talk about the history of the
Yes,
YW.
absolutely.
And before the end of the show, remind me, we're going to touch on the build too, okay?
Definitely.
Also joining Elisabeth is Rachel Crane, who is the co-chair of the summit this year. The summit does take place at Brock University, and they've been doing it now for 6 years. And Rachel, you are an educator, you're a teacher, you're a leader, you are a professor at Niagara College, and you're a volunteer in many facets of our community. And this one's a special one for you, being
Yep.
the co-chair. Tell me why you're involved in the Niagara Leadership Summit for Women.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite events of the year, and I've been involved since year one.
Yeah, 6 years.
Yep. So 6 years ago. And yeah, it's the time where I think we celebrate our diversity in the community. We talk about real stuff and our values that ground us. So diversity in leadership, inclusion of women and many, many other communities. The
What's the
importance
theme,
of
though?
collaboration.
You have a theme this
There's
year.
a theme this year, of course, every year, and it's represent. And it's not only a good hashtag, it means that women are represented and represent leadership in many different ways.
So how'd you build the summit around the word represent?
Yeah, it changes. So YWCA is really great at engaging volunteers. So we have about 20 to 30 people in our planning team. And they get together, we talk about what leadership means to us. And then from there, they extrapolate a word or two that kind of summarize what we're talking about. So this year, we really wanted to focus on the different ways that women represent in leadership.
So what does it mean to you, represent?
Well, I think it is that sense of diversity and cross. You know, women leadership can look very, very different, and sometimes women are very quiet about it. And so this is an opportunity for women to understand that leadership looks different in all kinds of ways, and the importance of being represented as women. You know, everything from the political to when we look at boardrooms to ensure that women are represented and understanding the importance of that diversity.
Leadership. So leadership's in the title.
Yes.
So it's been 6 years now. What does leadership in the title mean to you, Elisabeth, as a leader in our community with the YW?
I think leadership for me means that, in particularly in the case of women, that it is about understanding that leadership can look really different, and it can be, you know, you don't have to be the CEO of a company, or you know, there's a lot of ways that women lead, and it can be very quiet, and it's helping women recognize that, helping them to recognize how they are already leading, whether it's in their community, whether it's in their household, whether it's in their workplace, and what does it mean to be a woman leader? Because leadership, again, it looks different for women. And so it's recognizing that and celebrating it, as Rachel talked about.
It's very well said, because it's an important underlying aspect of the Leadership Summit. And I want to go back to you, Rachel. You're a leader in the community, you're a volunteer, you're an inspiring young woman. What has the summit given to you over the past 6 years?
Oh gosh, thank you first of all. I've been inspired. So just when you think Niagara, or I think Niagara is quite small and we kind of get to know, you know, people at different events in different circles, I am blown away every year that there are people coming, and I love the summit because it creates opportunities for new people to come and share their stories and how they're leading in different ways. We have artists to social workers to people in politics coming in and sharing. And I really get inspired by the different ways people lead, and it sparks ideas in myself in ways that I might start to explore my leadership. Yeah.
So just give us a synopsis of this year's summit, because it's a day-long
Yep.
learning opportunity, day-long networking opportunity.
Yep.
Take us through the day for anyone who might be thinking, yeah, this is something I want myself or my daughter or my sister to attend.
Great. Or sons, or
sons.
husbands.
We're
or
gonna get that as
everyone.
well. Yeah,
Everyone
we're
is
gonna
welcome,
Yep.
I'd like to
Yep.
say, first of all. And yes, it's on Saturday, October 26th. It starts about 9 a.m., formal start, but before that we have an optional yoga session, and then we start our opening plenary by recognizing the different communities that are attending, and including a land acknowledgement.
Yep.
And then we have Tomorrow's Voices, which is a youth choir who are going to kick us off with an inspiring performance. We have an opening keynote panel discussion So many different women represented there and talking about how they lead in the community, inspiring some intentions for the day. So we're going to do a mindfulness exercise. Yep, and that's just in the morning. So then we get going with sessions, workshops, seminars. We
So
have
it's
a lunch.
interactive. I guess
Very
the
much.
point that we're trying to do is it's an interactive. You're not just sitting there at a symposium
No.
and listening. You're being interactive.
Yeah.
You're being engaged. And then you do have a keynote speaker, Rochelle Ivory, who I've gotten to know, and she's
Great.
a wonderful, wonderfully beautiful person. And we just have a clip here we're going to play, and she is your keynote speaker this year.
I lead by example. As a judge, professor, mother, sister, and friend, the example that I provide inspires others to find their own path.
So that was a great clip of what she's going to be able to bring to. So why did you choose Judge Ivory? And I know her as Judge Ivory because she precedes over the citizenship ceremony. So why
Yeah.
Rochelle?
That's one of the reasons actually where her career has led her to. She's also a professor at Mohawk College. She's a mother of 4, so and a very active person in the community and advocating for women's on boards and things like this. So yes, many different ways that she is a very active leader, inspiring person. She can put together a great keynote as well, so, and inspire a lot of people. So yeah, many different reasons, but I think that summarizes
Very
why
well
we
spoken.
chose
Very
it.
well
That's
spoken.
that's a very good choice for this year. And again, represent on many different levels. And so, again, going back to the inspiration, and you have opportunities for young people to get involved. And from that lens, how important is the engagement of the next generation? And I'm going to touch on leadership right after that.
Definitely, yeah. I actually was surprised to learn. We have a lot of data now over 6 years.
Yep.
The average age is about 35 of our attendees. Yeah, so I'd say that's young, so being a woman in her 30s. Yes, and I think it's so important because we are the generation leading now as well as into the future. So the day is a lot about celebrating how far we've come, but a lot about looking to the future and how we want to enact positive change. So it's a day that we can come together and, again, grounded those values and what we want to see in the future.
And it'd be great. It's open for families, men, women, sons, daughters, sisters, brothers, coming out and going back to the leadership. Because I think what the summit has shown me over the last 6 years is we do have a vacuum of leadership when it comes to women, especially in Niagara. Mm-hmm. And I think that has a negative impact on how communities are built, how communities are formed, our political theater, and being able to attend a summit like this gives that inspiration, you know, to become the mayor of a community, to become an elected MP or MPP or member of council. And so providing those tools, and Elisabeth, you see that. So just talk ever so briefly about the importance of leadership in, I'm going to say, political space for women.
Well, I think, there's great examples of the impact that women have in terms of diversifying what becomes part of the conversation, where policy goes. We've seen lots of examples when, and sort of that critical mass is around 30%. When there's 30% or more representation of women, things around social issues, the community itself starts to benefit. Yeah. And I think the reality is, when we don't have good representation, it's missing a whole perspective. Right. And women make up half the population. Yeah. So,
and they're only represented about under 30%.
Well under 30%.
Or in the 20s for across Niagara.
Absolutely. And so that whole perspective and balance, it brings balance to the conversation and to what becomes priorities. And I think that those are the reasons why we need to promote, and that's across the spectrum, not just when we're talking about politics, but it's also in business decisions, boardrooms, all across the spectrum.
Well, we have a diversity and inclusivity committee here at the City of St. Catharines. We have
very exciting.
And so that's really an opportunity for us to take the learnings of summits like this and bring them into the city, so that we can, as also do a better job on the representing side and how we're building our policy. So I do want to acknowledge and say thank you for the YW for stepping up and saying this is an important thing that we should be doing for members of our community, and Rachel as a young professional for putting your hand up and saying I want to take a leadership role. That's really important for us. And as we live in this climate today where we see what's going on around the world, we've got other leaders in other countries who are creating more polarizing discussions and, in many respects aren't the kind of leaders that we should be looking to. The world needs more women to be in leadership positions. And I think the summit, if I can encourage members at home, look, if you've got a teenage daughter, this is a great opportunity. If you've got a teenage son, great opportunity. If you're looking for an opportunity to bring your sisters or your mums, or just, this is the summit you want to go to. And in a word, it's inspiring. So if I want to know on how to get tickets, how do I do it?
Yep, the best place to go is our website, so niagaralsw.ca. The ticket price is $25 for the day.
For the day?
And if that is not accessible, if that's a barrier for someone to attend, we have community sponsors who to carry that price tag, and so that participants don't have to pay it. Wonderful. So yeah, another great opportunity because it's so accessible to all members of our community.
So again, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. We've learned about Gillian's Place, Walk a Mile in her shoes. We learned about the YW and its leadership role in the Leadership Summit for Women, held at Brock University, coming up at the end of October, October 26th. So there's a lot to do in October. So get out. I hope you have a wonderful and fulfilling Thanksgiving and all the other things that are going on in October. It makes St. Catharines a special place to be. So until the next time we roll around, have a great day.